On the morning of December 6, 1917, hundreds of people gathered along Halifax Harbor to watch a ship burn. None of them knew they were looking at the largest human-made explosion the world had ever seen. 4 hours before the explosion, Halifax is waking up like any other morning. Cold air, dim light, workers pulling on coats, children getting dressed for school. The smell of coal smoke drifting down from the Richmond district toward the water. But Halifax in 1917 was not a quiet harbor town. The First World War has transformed it into one of the most strategically vital ports in the Allied war effort, the closest major port to Europe on the North American continent. Every day, convoys assemble here. Troops, weapons, and supplies flow outward across the Atlantic to the front lines in France and Belgium. By the end of 1917, Halifax was one of the busiest wartime ports in the world. This morning, the harbor is already moving before the city opens its eyes. 3 hours to go, and the harbor is already busy. Steam whistles cut through the cold. Dock workers move crates. Ships drift in and out through the Narrows, the narrow channel that is the only way in or out of the upper harbor. Everything that passes through Halifax passes through that channel. This morning, pilots are guiding vessels in both directions. The system has worked reliably for years, but somewhere beyond the outer harbor, two ships are already on a course toward each other. At 7:04 a.m., a French cargo ship called Mont-Blanc begins moving through the Narrows. She looks unremarkable. Her hull is unmarked. Her crew moves without urgency. But Mont-Blanc is carrying one of the most dangerous cargoes ever assembled in a single vessel: 2,300 tons of picric acid, 200 tons of TNT, 10 tons of gun cotton, and 35 tons of benzol stacked in barrels on her open deck. The combined explosive force is roughly equivalent to a third of the atomic bomb that would later destroy Hiroshima. She carries no warning markings. In wartime, marking a munitions ship makes it a target for German submarines. So Halifax sees nothing but another freighter arriving on another ordinary morning. Her crew knows exactly what they are carrying. Nobody else does. At almost the same moment, another ship is beginning a journey that will change Halifax forever. The Imo, a Norwegian vessel heading out to sea, is running late after a delay the previous day. She is moving faster than the harbor's recommended limit. Whistle signals are exchanged. Course corrections come too late. Neither ship gives way quite fast enough. The resulting inquiry will become one of the most complex maritime investigations in Canadian history. Courts will assign blame. Appeals will overturn verdicts. Responsibility will be debated for decades. None of that matters yet. What matters is that the gap between the two ships is closing, and nobody watching from shore has any reason to think this is anything more than a close call. 20 minutes before the explosion, the Imo and Mont-Blanc collided. It is not dramatic. A glancing blow at low speed, the kind of impact that normally means paperwork and nothing more. But on Mont-Blanc's deck, the collision has dislodged the benzol barrels. Fuel spreads across the planking. A spark from the grinding hulls finds it. A small fire begins. To everyone watching from shore, it looks manageable. To the crew of Mont-Blanc, it looks like the end. 15 minutes out. The crew abandons the ship. No debate, no hesitation. Captain Aimé Lemedec and his men get off Mont-Blanc as fast as possible, rowing for the Dartmouth shore and shouting warnings back across the harbor. The harbor is noisy. The distance is too great. Most of the people on the Halifax waterfront don't speak French. The Mont-Blanc, now crewless and burning, continues drifting on the current. Slowly, almost gently, toward Pier 6, toward the city. On shore, people are watching a burning ship, which is interesting, but not frightening. Not yet. The smoke is now visible from across the entire north end of the city, and Halifax comes to watch. Workers step out of warehouses, families open windows, children stop at the waterfront railing. the Halifax Fire Department dispatches engine number 4 to Pier 6. Nobody has any reason to leave. Nobody knows what Mont-Blanc is carrying. Nobody knows her crew has already fled. They are simply watching a ship burn on a cold December morning. The most dangerous place in Halifax right now is the waterfront, and that is exactly where everyone is going. 5 minutes before the explosion, the fire is visible across a wide stretch of the city. In the Richmond district, families stand at windows. At the Richmond school, children have gathered at the fence overlooking the harbor. In offices further south, workers have stopped what they're doing. None of them are frightened. Burning ships don't explode. There is no framework in anyone's experience for what is about to happen. The people who die in the next 5 minutes are not careless. They simply have no way of knowing what they don't know. Nobody seems afraid. Nobody is leaving. 1 minute. Halifax is finishing breakfast. Someone is pouring coffee. Someone is telling a child to hurry. Someone is opening a shop. Mont-Blanc has been burning for 19 minutes. She is pressed against Pier 6. The temperature in her hold is still rising. In 60 seconds, the city will change forever. At 9:04 and 35 seconds, the Mont-Blanc explodes. The blast is the largest human-made explosion in history up to that point, a record it will hold until the atomic bombings of 1945. The shockwave flattens the Richmond district in seconds. Buildings that were standing one moment simply cease to exist. A pressure wave travels outward at the speed of sound, shattering windows across Halifax and Dartmouth and as far as 50 miles away. The harbor floor is briefly exposed as water is displaced by the force of the explosion before surging back as a tsunami that floods the shoreline. Mont-Blanc disappears entirely. Her anchor is found 4 kilometers away. A piece of her hull lands 3 kilometers in the opposite direction. The mushroom cloud rises nearly 2 kilometers into the sky. In the Richmond district, everything that was standing a moment ago is gone. In the minutes and hours that follow, Halifax begins to understand what has happened. Almost 2,000 people are killed outright or die of their injuries, the deadliest disaster in Canadian history. More than 9,000 are wounded. Hundreds are blinded by glass from windows shattered by the shockwave, many of them people who had been watching the fire from inside buildings, pressing close to the glass for a better view. The entire Richmond district, more than 325 acres of the city, is completely destroyed. It takes years to rebuild. The inquiry into the collision assigns blame to the Mont-Blanc's pilot. An appeal overturns that verdict. The legal battles continue for years. Full responsibility is never definitively settled. What is settled is this. On the morning of December 6, 1917, nearly 2,000 people woke up in Halifax and went about their lives with no way of knowing what the next few hours would bring. The city they lived in disappeared before breakfast was over.